Hey guys, and welcome to new classes of Spain facing the 21st century. Today we're going to continue talking about the development of Spanish politics, and we're going to get to the last phase. And we're going to talk about a current presidente del gobierno, our current prime minister, Pedro Sánchez. And we're going to talk about his story, his resurrection, because believe me, this could perfectly make it for a Hollywood script. It could perfectly be the West Wing, any of these TV shows, because it's unbelievable. So today we're going to divide the class in two parts. First, we're going to talk about Pedro Sánchez leadership that will relate it to the process of leading the party before becoming president, and I'll refer to that. And then we're going to talk about the vote of no confidence in 2018 when, against all odds, he became presidente del gobierno. He became the president of the government, the prime minister of Spain. So let's get started. We more or less know about Pedro Sánchez because we said in the last class how he actually won in the primaries of 2014, and he actually he participated in the elections in 2015, elections that he lost. He got the worst result of PSOE in its history with 22% of the votes. And he was, at that time, there was a clear risk that Podemos could surpass PSOE and be the second largest party in Spain. But he saved that much vote, so to say. Out of that parliament, I have to say, the 2015 election parliament, parties were unable to form a government. So that means that after a certain period of time, Parliament has to call for snap elections. Their inability to form a government, to form a majority, resulted on that. So in 2016, there were elections again, and actually in those elections, PSOE got even worse results, also with Pedro Sánchez as candidate, than in 2015. This time there was a debate because more or less the majority game was more or less the same. There were, you can see how votes from Ciudadanos went to PP, votes from PSOE went to Unidas Podemos, but it was pretty much the same maths. They were the same odds, so there was not a clear change in how the political majorities were in Spain at that time. 2016, so we had a problem because if the 2015 Parliament was unable to elect a president, would 2016 Parliament be able to? Because it looked pretty much the same. What happened then? Because actually then pressure comes to PSOE to reach a bipartisan agreement to support Mariano Rajoy as president of the government. However, Pedro Sánchez opposes that idea, and however, quite a few relevant members of the party like it. And then there's a kind of a mutiny inside PSOE, and in the executive committee of the party, half of the committee resigns. Why do they resign? Because if half of the committee is not present, then the committee falls, and also a new secretary general, and the secretary general cannot make decisions within PSOE, within the party. So that meant that through their own resignation, we're forcing Pedro Sánchez to resign. And actually, that's what he does. In late 2016, he resigns, and cabinet, kind of a small executive committee, takes over the leadership of the party. And what PSOE does is make a few of their members of parliament to abstain in the vote of Mariano Rajoy as president of the government. And that results actually in Mariano Rajoy being elected president in 2016, finally, eventually. And then Pedro Sánchez, at that point, he's resigned, and the party is to start a process of primaries in early 2017. Bear in mind that Pedro Sánchez at this point had lost 2 elections and had been forced out of his party, and very publicly, very notably. So what he decides early 2017 is he actually is going to run for the primaries. And he says that the vote in the primaries is going to be between himself and the rejection of PP and conservative policies, and whoever the other candidates are. So there will be 2 options, and he formulates that narrative for the primaries. Actually, there are 3 candidates: Susana Díaz, more conservative wing within the left wing, left spectrum from Andalusia; Pachi López, that will be a central option; and then Pedro Sánchez, as we know. The results of the primaries against all odds, because Susana Diaz had support of the key figures of the party, were that Pedro Sánchez won the vote of the members of the membership of the party. This means that actually he is back in office after being kicked out of his own party. After being stabbed in the back, but he's the strongest allies in the party. He's back in leadership of the party. Obviously, he forces the resignation of all those who were against him in the executive committee of the party, and he shapes the party to his will. We're going to have a break now. Well, first, let me comment on this. Obviously, this speaks of the leadership of Pedro Sánchez. Pedro Sánchez has never been the most charismatic leader of PSOE, never, far away from that. His background was actually, he was an economics student, he studied economy, he did a master's in European political economy, he worked as an attaché in the European Parliament, then he worked in the NATO mission in Bosnia-Herzegovina as attaché as well, and then he got into politics in Madrid. But he had never had strong leadership, and he's never been known for that. However, this narrative of resurrection, because it's pretty much that. He came from losing 2 elections, from being kicked out of his party, and out of nowhere he wins the primaries against all the key politicians of PSOE that were supporting Susana Diaz. So we're going to have a break now, and we're going to continue after the break with the vote of no confidence and with this amazing story of Pedro Sánchez.